Two, people are not thinking about you, good or bad, as much as you think they are. Allow that to set you free.
That's a great list. Go watch the whole thing. It's linked in my caption. And I agree with everything except for one, is like the dog thing. Especially for women, if you've never had a moment in your time where you were not taking care of something else or someone else, don't get a dog in that one moment that you are not taking care of anybody. I'm so sorry. No hard feelings. Anyway, I want to get back to that first point out of many that are great in that video. One of the most liberating things in my life was realizing that that I'm not important. Like, of course I'm important, but I'm not that important, you know? And I think a lot of us, anyone who has like, you know, has very low self-esteem or, you know, in codependency especially, and who has, I mean, we all are our own worst critic, right? I mean, I'm pretty sure that's a universal thing, right? Right? One of the things that was so liberating to me was to realize that nobody is saying the things or thinking the things about me all the time that I'm thinking about me all the time. So just to give you an example, one of my mentors when I lived in New York, she was this like 70-something-year-old woman from Brooklyn. And what I loved about her is that she just gave me the truth, the brutal truth. And one day, like, I showed up late to her house and I was supposed to be there like at lunch and I was late, but the subway was stuck. And because, you know, there was no cell phone service back in the subway back then, so I couldn't text her I was going to be late. Like, I was like panicking and oh my God, she's going to be so mad at me. She's never going to talk to me again, blah, 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 blah. And it was the worst subway ride because I was so afraid she was mad at me. And then that just spiraled into like, God, I'm such an irresponsible person. Like just ridiculous. Like, it's like there's like a carrot on a stick, you know, that like that self-hating part of me is just like, you know, it'll follow it anywhere so that I can be consumed with self-hatred. It's exhausting. It's exhausting for me and it's exhausting for other people. When I showed up at her apartment, right away I was like, and she opened the door and I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I was stuck in the subway and I didn't know what to do. And she was like, so she made me realize two things. One is that I use apologies because of my people pleasing and codependency and approval seeking kind of stuff. A lot of times I use apologies to shut people up because I don't want them to ignite or feed my shame anymore. So I'm like, let's just get over it. Here, I'm so sorry. And then I'm making it about me. Yeah, look at him pouting. He's like, stop putting me on camera. So she was like, first of all, like, you don't even care about me because you're so obsessed with like how bad you feel. I'm not mad at you. I know the subway gets stuck, but what I don't appreciate is you just like shutting me up with all your apologies. So that's something I've been working on for a really long time. Probably, I know I fall into it sometimes still, but it's a really hard habit to break. The other thing, which is much deeper than that, is when she was like, I promise you, the voice in your head is way meaner and more violent and sadistic and abusive and a little like tyrant. It is more awful than anyone else in your life. This is also like a trauma response. A lot of this is something I internalized from things that happened in my childhood and then like internalize that voice. And it's like easier, you know, the ironic protector is like, I'm gonna beat up on myself before anyone beats up on me because whatever. But she was like, you will literally, like, this is how much you internalize everything and make everything about you, which sounds a lot like narcissism, y'all, which is the way I was heading with all of this victim mentality and all this like codependency and people pleasing, all that stuff. I was so afraid of the world that I projected the monster. I projected things really unfairly on other people. And in doing so, I made them invisible. I didn't see their humanity because I was so obsessed with like, please don't hate me, please don't hate me, please don't think I'm bad, blah. It's really exhausting and it's really harmful to other people, right? It's harmful to me. Nobody wins in that way of thinking. And she was like, I wouldn't be surprised if you heard a baby crying 2 blocks away that you can't even see, and you would still somehow make that about you. And I was like, oh yeah, of course I would. Because that's and this is how like creativity, you know, my brain is very creative. Now I try to use it for good instead of like beating up on myself and creating stories about other people that are so not true. Now I try to use it to actually like make stories for art. instead of hating myself. But once she said that, I started to notice how often I do it. If there's someone behind me in line and they're like impatient, I'm like, what is it? What am I doing wrong? What is it? Why are they so impatient? Maybe they're pregnant and, like maybe they're trying to get home to a sick person. Maybe they're like, there's so many things that be going on that have nothing to do with me. And that person isn't even thinking about me. That baby crying doesn't even know I exist, much less is it not thinking about me. And if you are consumed with self-hate, you can't see anybody. You rob them of their humanity because you're in constant survival mode, constant like, oh my God, I'm so bad. And I'm just, like you're the piece of crap that the world revolves around. And it makes you actually really selfish. That's when I realized, I was like, holy crap. I always thought selfish people were like, a lot of times they especially men, a lot of times men with all the arrogance and stuff, they actually secretly hate themselves. They're just like overcompensating, right? As somebody who has been that person who was like, I'm so sad, I just go into this childlike mode. Like, not only is it just humiliating to live that way, but it also is really annoying to other people because they can't be honest with you. They're so afraid of telling you the truth that they walk on eggshells around you, and then that keeps them from being their authentic self. They can't be honest with you, and then they feel invisible. As someone who grew up, with a parent who I had to walk on eggshells around, that made me feel invisible because everything is about how are they feeling? Do they feel okay? I don't want to make them mad, right? But I was doing it too. I was perpetuating that cycle of being so full of self-hatred that I assumed everyone else hated me. And in doing so, I not only cut off myself from the rest of the world, I cut myself off from me and my true self and all the things that are awesome, And I didn't add as much value to the world. I wasn't as useful to other people. I wasn't in community the way I should be with other people because it's hard to be with other people and see other people and give to other people and even receive love from other people when you're navel gazing. You're just looking at yourself being like, God, I suck so much. I suck so much. I suck so much. So that has actually been like the foundation of a lot of my healing. Is just that, it's way more complex. But when I realized that so much of this really does come down to, I'm not any more important than anyone else. Yes, I have something unique to offer people who have value. Nobody's thinking about me most of the time. And that's a good thing. Because I assume if they are thinking about me, they're thinking about how much I suck. Not being so obsessed with everyone else is an essential part of connecting with your humanity.